My first job as a data analyst in marketing, a lot of it was building the Power BI reporting setup and the Power BI app for the marketing department with Google Analytics, different advertising platforms like Meta ads or Google ads, LinkedIn ads if it's a...
Hello, 大家好，我是 Jeff， 欢迎来到我的成长频道。Then today we have a special guest. So who is with me today?
Hi, my name is Christian.
So the reason why I'm inviting Christian today is we would like to talk about being a data analyst. What does that mean? And also afterwards, how does Christian actually switch his career from a data analyst into a market analyst? So Christian was born in China, and afterwards he actually lived in Australia and Denmark and also Dubai and also Hungary, right?
Yeah.
So many different countries with very international background. And maybe you can talk a little bit about your educational background.
Yeah, so I did a bachelor's degree in business and with focus on IT and digitalization. So that gave me a background in business and also IT, which helped me land a job in being a data analyst and doing analytics.
Yeah. So after your study, your first job is being a data analyst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a marketing team. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about being a data analyst in a marketing team. How does your day-to-day look like? And what do you do actually being an analyst in a marketing team?
Yeah, so for me, my first job as a data analyst in marketing, a lot of it was building the Power BI reporting setup and the Power BI app for the marketing department. So I spent almost all day developing Power BI reports, whether that was working with data engineers to have the data warehouse set up, or building the data models in Power BI, doing data transformation and cleaning. Mm-hmm. That was a big part. And also then, making the visuals and sharing the reports with the stakeholders.
Yeah. So what kind of data source, what kind of data sources and data do you normally work with in the marketing team?
I mean, when it comes to marketing, I think most companies will work with Google Analytics, different advertising platforms like Meta ads or Google ads, LinkedIn ads if it's a B2B company. And it could also be CRM data on lead generation if it's a B2B company. But it depends on if it's B2C or B2B. But you'll always have some form of advertising and usually website analytics.
Yeah. So when you actually working with Google Analytics data or Meta ads and Google ads, what would be the typical KPIs you are looking at? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, in advertising, you will always look at return on ad spend. It's
ROAS.
Yeah. So it's a way to measure the profitability and the revenue you get for each dollar you spend on advertising. Mm-hmm. So that's high level, but you'll always look at views on the ad, how it's converting, how many clicks it's getting, if it's driving sales, how many orders, and what is the average order size of those.
So, like AOP. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, AOV.
AOV, exactly. Yeah, but that's quite interesting. Yeah, because in the marketing areas, especially the ROAS and also the AOV is obviously quite important, right? So, what are the challenges of being a data analyst? In the beginning, what do you think? Yeah.
I think there's two parts. One would be on the technical side, and the other would be on working with the stakeholders. So on the technical side, you have to learn whatever platform you're using. Usually, I think most companies use Power BI. So you'll do a lot of testing and learning as you go in that reporting platform. But I mean, you can learn a lot very quickly.
Yeah.
So.
But what are the challenges side working with the stakeholders?
With the stakeholders, I think in marketing, it's very common that they're not as data savvy or data driven. It's a more traditional profession. So you need to work with them to get them to think and use data in their day-to-day. So not only will they see the numbers, but they'll actually take action off it and kind of think in how to measure a campaign when they're designing it, not just run a campaign and then, okay, now let's look at the data. Yeah. You need to think about the measurability before you do a campaign.
Okay. Have you done any kind of the mixed model MMM, mixed model evaluation?
I haven't done any MMM,
okay.
but From my experience, it's usually outsourced to agencies.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of marketing departments outsource to agencies, not only for MMM.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit your understanding of MMM? Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding of MMM is you're trying to attribute each marketing action to revenue.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So whether it can be quite complex, especially when you're doing upper funnel marketing and advertising, to see how that actually translates into revenue.
Yeah.
And the purpose of MMM is to figure out how exactly every activity you do translates into revenue.
Okay, so not only focus on the last click conversion, but also like the early exposures of your websites and stuff like that. That will also convert into sales at a later stage, right? Yeah. Okay, great. So quite interesting. So but you worked you started as a data analyst in the marketing team for a while, and then you transitioned being a market analyst in a different team. So can you tell us a little bit about the difference between a data analyst and also a market analyst, and why do you decide to do this change in your career?
Yeah, I think the main difference between being a data analyst and being a market analyst is the type of work I'm doing. So as a data analyst, it was very development heavy, a lot of developer work, developing the Power BI reports.
Yes.
As a market analyst, I do still have Power BI reports, but it wasn't, it's mainly I'm building it for myself and some stakeholders, and it's only one main report. Otherwise, I'm doing PowerPoint slides, making visuals for the PowerPoint slides and presenting those slides to stakeholders.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more presenting and a lot more work in PowerPoint.
Yeah, but if you look at the split between your work in terms of the technical development and also the preparing the insights and the PowerPoints for the management team, how much was the split? How much do you think?
Compared between the two?
Yeah.
So I would say as a data analyst, I was doing 90% developer work, 10% working with stakeholders and presenting. I'd say as a market analyst, it's maybe 10% developer work, like in traditional sense, developing reports. And then everything else is either making a presentation or presenting it. A majority of that is making the presentation because they're custom analysis, one-off analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so when I look at your co-workers in your team, I think most of them, they have pretty good like Power BI skills, and now you also start using Microsoft Fabric platforms. And recently you have migrated your data platform from Alteryx into Fabric, right? How do you feel like this transition, actually using Fabric and Power BI together? Do you think this gives you much more advantages in terms of the collaborations across the different teams and also the easiness of managing your complex data infrastructures?
I think definitely that Fabric and Power BI are native. They're both in the same ecosystem. It makes it very easy to integrate the two and quite simple. But otherwise, I wouldn't say our data sets are that complex. It's not so much, not that big of a deal to manage it and do all the ETL. We can do that in different platforms.
Yeah.
It's more about that Fabric is not an additional cost like Alteryx was, and it's also in the same ecosystem as Power BI, which is why it made sense to migrate.
Yeah, but when you're working with when you're working as a data analyst in the marketing team, as you said, you are working with a lot of Google Analytics data and also Meta ads and Google ads, right? To calculate ROAS and AOV, stuff like that. But being a market analyst, what would be the typical data and data sources you are working with? Yeah,
so the data source is completely different than being a marketing data analyst. So when we are market analysts, what we do is we buy data from agencies on how much the market is selling, every brand, every product that they have. They sell this data and you're able to purchase it.
So more like a competitor data, right?
Yeah, from competitors and also from our own sales. It's all being sold by agencies.
Yes.
So we purchase this data. It's basically a sales centered data set.
Yeah, okay, sales related data from agencies. Yeah.
Sales related data set. And then from there we build out our reporting on how much is the market growing, who's taking share, who's losing share, what products are doing well in the market, all sort of.
Okay, so what I can see is like being a market analyst, you're much more focused on the product sales, and also the development of product on the market, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's a clear distinction between a market analyst or a marketing analyst, right?
Yeah.
Because the typical data source you are working with are quite different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you see the because I can see, yes, when you started your job as a data analyst in marketing team, that give you build up your good technical foundations, right? So which make it easier for you to become a market analyst. So since you still have to analyze your own data by using Power BI, by using Fabric and Python to processing your own data, right?
Yeah.
How do you see the transitions from the data analyst to the market analyst, and also the correlations? Yeah,
I think for me, being a data analyst in marketing, it really allowed me to develop the technical skills. And becoming a market analyst, the technical skills were, I was very qualified in the technical area, even a bit overqualified. It wasn't necessary to be that good at Power BI. But changing roles allowed me to develop my soft skills more, getting better at presenting to stakeholders, thinking more strategically. It's you have to think critically and think strategically as a market analyst. Think about what's important for the business to know. It's very important that a business operates in growing markets and is taking share and growing. So you're thinking very, very critically and strategically as a market analyst.
So obviously, what I can hear is a market analyst is much more in terms of knowledge preparation. It is much more than a data analyst, because you need to have both technical skills as well as to a relevant domain knowledge, right? And also requires good presentation skills and also like a general business awareness and understandings.
Yeah, definitely more weighted to
more
business
weighted,
understanding.
Yeah. So for anyone, if you want to say, okay, for anyone who wants to start their job being an analyst or marketing analyst or data analyst or marketing analyst or market analyst, do you have any kind of suggestions? How do they prepare themselves right after school, or maybe before they start their masters in any business schools? How do they prepare themselves?
Yeah, what helped me get my first job was having project experience, also like during university.
Yeah.
So within courses, showing I've analyzed data, I know Python, I've built a Power BI report before. So showing project work in courses or also outside of courses, extracurriculars.
Also internships, right?
Yeah, or internships where you can prove that you've practiced a skill, you've developed a skill.
Yeah.
That's something that they'll be looking for when you're entering the job market. And in my experience, most companies are looking for, or when I was at least starting to work, it was a lot of Power
Now the market
BI.
is much more competitive, to be honest.
Now it's a more competitive market, and I think with AI and generative AI coming, you also need to think about how you can use Gen AI to use it in data analysis and data engineering. It's something they're looking for.
Interesting question. So actually, a lot of people saying now we have AI, and what you're saying is being a market analyst, you are doing the data modeling analysis, and also you're generating the insights, right? You're generating the insights and then preparing management reporting to support stakeholder decisions. How do you see like this AI coming? So AI can also do the predictions and also generate insights based on the prepared data sets. How do you see that actually? Is it conflicting with what you do, or do you see yourself being replaced or whatever? In that kind of sense, how do you see that?
Yeah, in terms of the job market, a lot of managers and companies have AI targets. So they have personal objectives to have their employees use AI and integrate AI into their workflows. So if you're entering the job market, you do want to have that in your skill set, the ability to use AI in whatever field you are.
Yes.
So right now, that's how the market is moving. They want people who can use AI and use it to deliver more work or even better work. So that's on the market. And how I'm currently using it is I'm doing a pilot project where we are, instead of just analyzing the data ourselves, we're building data agents in Fabric to query the data, basically write their own queries from text, and then it will help us query the data faster, and eventually the goal is to have it make visuals for us and even presentations.
Yeah.
And for us, we're doing it in-house for the Fabric part of it. So it will take us some time, but already there are companies and agencies out there who can actually generate full PowerPoint decks off of a query.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, but I think in a lot of my videos, I always talk about, I think AI will not replace the domain experts or but AI will replace the people who actually knows nothing about AI. So I think it's very important to try to embrace AI and then use it in your daily job to see how you can take advantage of the tool sets and also the skill sets to accelerate your deliverables and also to improve the quality of your deliverable as well to the next level. I think in the AI era, this is extremely important. Yeah,
I agree. If you don't know AI, will have a difficulty getting a job. If you know AI, everyone is looking for someone who knows AI. So it's a really good bet.
Okay, great. Thanks, Christian. Thanks for spending time with us. And I think it's a great conversation and definitely shares a lot of great insights about getting a job in the data analytics field, and also how do you transition yourself to an area which is more close to the business. But thanks for your time, Christian.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. If you have any comments about how to land a job in the data analytics area, please leave the comments. Thanks.
Bye.